Hey everyone, how's it going? Octopus here and welcome back to evercrisis. I'm going to be talking about the crash battle that just landed, probably one of the easiest ones we've had in a long time. Obviously, solo crash battle is a lot harder. I actually might attempt it this time with my main account. Since it is a day one free-to-play account, it has a lot of resources and knowledge put behind it. I might be able to do it. But for the co-op, pretty straightforward, pretty easy, not as complicated. The crash carriers should be able to hit that goal, no problem. I'm also going to talk about the EX3, and I'm going to run that one as well. I believe my main account can pass the EX3, but the no overboost account is going to be very iffy, just like every other one. It's usually not really worth it, that little extra push just to get like 200 blue crystals. So I'm going to attempt it, I'm going to try it, I'll showcase it, but for the most part, my main account should be passing that one, and I'll hopefully have that video up. But for now, let's jump into the co-op version of the crash battle, talk about the update, and everything else that's going on. So jumping straight into the notices, we got that high difficulty that started on December 12th. That was last night. We cleared it in the first half an hour. I was a little late because I was ready to play God of War DLC, the roguelike version. Really amazing. Having a fun time over my Twitch channel if you guys want to check it out. But real quick, we're going to talk about the new stuff that's coming out, which is Hell House Caller on Red 13. I really want Red 13 to get more love into this game. He's only gotten that one costume, which I didn't get a chance to pull on, and that's pretty much it. He's been getting small stuff here and there, but nothing really to make him go into that next level. He's amazing the way he is now. This does help on anyone that doesn't have anything for HP, right? For him as well, putting magic defense down. It's a nice little collar. Nothing too crazy, but it is going to help in a lot of situations overall. The high difficulty frenzy battle will be coming. We will be hitting this 500 players, right? If you guys are part of my Discord, we do co-op carries all the time. But this one, even as a healer on a free-to-play account, you guys can just go into the random queue battle and get a lot of people just passing this right now. So if you guys haven't already, jump in and go through the random queue system a couple times until you find some 2 good DPS, and you should be good to go because the mechanics of this fight aren't as complicated as the other one, or at least the requirements aren't as hard. So after 500 players, we don't get all the rewards. We only get that 1,000 blue crystals for 500, which is like last time. The first time it was easier. They finally bumped it to 500. I think they're happy at 500. Hopefully, and not really hopefully. Again, community for this is great. We will hit that 500, giving us that frenzy battle for 1,000. So looking forward to that one. Like I said, Red 13's collar, it's a free event weapon. Collect them all, especially if you're free to play. They help a ton. They won't last forever once you start overboosting weapons, but they are great for that. So there is campaign stuff going on. Don't forget, right? It has 1 day left to get all these free tickets. Easy requirements, just play the game, right? Co-ops, consuming, enhancing weapons. I gotta do the premium quest when it resets today. Just don't forget all these free draw tickets here. They're worth it. Now for the event itself, I ended up doing this on this account. This is a free-to-play, no overboost account, and it went pretty smoothly. I'm going to show you my Barret that I ended up using. I'm using Healing Barret this entire time. This is the event that we passed. It gives you a title and blue crystals. The solo version, same thing, blue crystals with the title. Really cool little emblem, by the way. I love the Hell House as a boss, and I love that they put it into the game. But this is going to be very hard for any kind of free-to-play player to do this. Don't worry about it. It doesn't change your game. I know the icon's there, but at least we got the co-op icon where the community can help out to pass us harder content. I like that they mix the whales and the free-to-play together and give them both something to look forward to when it comes to these events. As for the actual gold ticket drops this time, much better, and the shop itself is much better. I don't remember going like, oh wow, the limited prizes are actually all decent. Every single one of the limited prizes are pretty good, right? It's all 4-star synthesis materia and upgrade materia. Again, you don't have to do the limited, but for this time around, you guys can stick around for the limit if you really want to, since every single one of them is great, and even the random junk isn't terrible, except for the Gil. But even then, you can use Gil. So you can still use the same strategy where once you get the jackpots, prizes, you just move on to the next level, because even at 7+, you get to farm all the good stuff over and over and over again. So it doesn't really matter if you skip the levels or go all the way to level 7. It's all the same rewards. It's just you don't have to farm as much resources, but the things you would farm for are in here already anyways, which is a nanocube and genomes, and then they give you some synthesis. So I think it's a win-win to actually go up this entire ladder with jackpot and limited. I don't know if that's how the last gold tickets were, but it's pretty cheap as well. I haven't farmed at all, really. Did my daily quests. Don't forget to do that. right? Of not a vintage. Nope, not that button. Daily, yeah. It says consume stamina any battle, and then consume stamina in solo battle and co-op battle. And you get a bunch of free tickets. Just doing these is going to give you a bunch all the way till the end. So when we did the co-op crash battle last night, I did this first run on my main account with my Aerith over here, who's a healer. I did full heals, and I was like, it's much easier if I can help with the bombs and the main boss if I bring in DPS healer like I always do. So I went from full healing to this one. 2598 is pretty much a really good spot here to do enough damage to pass this, right? Healing was only 1194 on a 1 overboost Aerith weapon, which is only 63 potency, right? Nothing too crazy. Fire materia, because that's where the partners needed the most help. I was using 2 Sephiroths on my team, so you can see everything here is just to pump in my magic damage versus my healing. You need very decent but not crazy healing in this. I'll show you all the phases, but the one I did was I brought in Healing Barret, and I did it again on my no overboost account, and this would end up using the new weapon, just another weapon of Barret's to give more stats towards him. I brought the Fire Materia, the Cure to become Cure All for the entire party. Hellfire, really good, because the beginning part is more focused on Hellfire since the ice bombs come up so often. He does jump between the phases of ice bombs and fire bombs and his ice shield and fire shield, but I'll talk about that in the quest. To start off, if you're going to have Sephiroths on your team who are doing ice magic damage, bring Hellfire even on those Sephiroths to make that first part go very smooth. So that's the setup I use. 5,500 HP is enough for this if you got around like 115 power defense. If you don't have any power defense, raise that HP up to 6,000, and that should be great to pass this. But we were surviving with like 300 HP left, so 5,000 to 5,500, depending on how much physical defense you have. So that's my Barret right now. We're going to jump in with 1,622 healing with a Cura 4-star spell, and we're going to see how this goes. All right, so jumping in, I'm playing with John Batista and Surge the Purge. Great parts of the community, amazing people to hang around with. The first part of this fight is pretty straightforward. I don't know if the music's too loud for you guys. I'm gonna lower it a little bit, but he's on his countdown over here. We're just prepping. I'm using my new weapon for Barret to buff Sephiroths. Well, John has one where he can buff himself, and I'm helping Surge get his max buff as well. But this is where he starts with Heaven's Ward. He's gonna be using a physical AoE attack. If you have Barret's weapon where Assault Gun, he raises physical defense, you can use that to block their attacks, but this one is pretty straightforward. If you are using Sephiroths, their animations are so long that he gets his attack, so you have to go in defense mode and survive, and that's pretty much it for the first phase. Break that, so now he gets crashed, and this is the important part. So I'm going to pause right here. Because we broke his actual bar, which required using ice damage, he gets stunned, so a lot of time to DPS, and he also lowers his physical attack by 5 tiers. This is what's going to allow you to survive the future attacks. If you can break that first attack, you take less damage and you don't need as much, but in the next phases where you have to break his fire shield, his ice shield, if you don't do that, you're pretty much going to get wiped. So the objective here is to bring in the right elements for this. As a healer, you're going to heal at most more than half HP during the phases, and you only need to fully heal when he's about to go into his big hit like he just did. So you can continue to help with DPS here using the fire spell. I chose to just full heal, get that out of the way, because when the fire bombs come, if you don't kill them right away, or the ice bombs, they do AoE attacks that will wipe the party if you're not ready. But here we go. He now has physical resist up and magic resist up. So during this phase, you're going to have to take down the boss's ads. So you got Ice Bomb A and Ice Bomb B. This is me as a healer. I'm going to switch to A or B and help out with the DPS. Both my DPS split here. They don't have to. You guys can focus one and move to the other one. But they end up splitting their damage, and I go between that and helping with the fire, and they finish off the rest there. Now, once you kill the bombs, you are allowed to go ahead and start DPSing the boss again, as long as there are no ads. Hey, how's it going? I'm future editing Octo. So every part that I say here where you guys should DPS the boss after you kill the bombs, don't do that, because the only way to deplete the boss's bar to stun him is by killing the 3 sets of bombs. So one bomb set comes out, you kill it. Second bomb set comes out, you kill it. Third bomb set that comes out, you kill them. And every time he opens the door and lets those bombs out, that's how the bar depletes. So that's the only way to get through that phase. Every time you try to hit him, it doesn't do any damage. It does very little, and it's not worth it. So every time you hear me say, hey, now the bombs are gone, you can continuously hit the boss, No point to doing that. It's like worth 200 damage. Just save that ATB so you can kill the bombs faster. So, yeah, back to the video. So he's going to continuously do damage to you. If those bombs go off, they blow up and do damage. But all you got to do is, as a healer, is take care of those little bit of hits he does here or there. Now we're back to the bombs coming back out. And once you have your summons up, like John did, you're going to use them one at a time. Don't use all Hellfires or all Diamond Dust. Use them one at a time so that you can wipe out those bombs so you can go back to DPSing. So you can see, even though Hellfire went off, we didn't do any damage to his shield there, but now that the bombs aren't there, he's now susceptible to taking that damage again. So we're going to go ahead and use just fire spells once our max HP is there. They got some damage in there beforehand. Here's another Hellfire to get rid of the bombs. Boss is stunned, lost his 5 attack down before his big AoE attack. So it's just pure DPS from this point on. So pretty straightforward. Get rid of the bombs right away. Whatever element they are, use the opposite, right? If they're ice, use fire. If there's fire, use ice. But you can check what the boss needs by looking at the little symbol over here. Again, this is just a DPS phase. This is the phase where I would make sure the HP is full before we go into the next attack. But you can see John up there has 5,329. So it's a pretty straightforward fight. Bombs come out, you kill the bombs, you break his shield before he does this big AoE attack, and then everything else in between that is buffing your DPSs or continuously doing damage with your healer. Your healer should be built more damage than healing. And this free-to-play Barret goes really, really well with this quest. Just because he can buff the Sephiroths, he can do damage, and he can heal very well, and he can also put a big AoE physical wall to make this even easier when you're carrying co-ops. So, overall, you have about, I don't think we did more than 3 phases of this. So I know there's at least 3 phases where you can stop his damage from happening and continuously doing DPS. So you have a lot of time to DPS here. Enough that you don't even need to be as strong as John and Surge is. John is fully maxed out, Surge isn't. So you can see the difference in damage. Surge doing 12,000, and then John is buffing himself, so you're not going to see his. But you can see it throughout the fight. Here I top off Surge because he doesn't have max buffs. And we just go ahead and spam. So he's got a fire shield we have to break now. So we use fire spells on it. He's got Scorching. You want to break this as soon as possible during this phase, because if you don't, you will wipe. This is probably the hard part if your DPS doesn't bring in fire spells. So if you see like Sephiroths in co-op and random and they have no fire spells on them and just Hellfire, it's a little iffy for the most part. But if they do have Hellfire ready for this section over here, then it is possible. But you can see we just make that cutoff before that goes off. So it makes it easier to carry a fire spell on your ice DPSs. And then from this point forward, it's pretty much just go. Go, go, go. The next phase is going to have all ice. Ice shield, ice adds on the side. So just pop your Hellfires here if you got them. Everything else is going to be doing ice damage. So the Hellfires are pretty much for that first phase to get through it without a problem. And here we're just DPSing until he comes back to his full attack mode. When you're that close though, be ready to switch to defense. If you all don't switch to defense, someone's going to die, making this much harder. Even if someone does die, depending on your DPS, you should be okay. But again, very easy to survive with 5,300 HP. Not even needing 5,000 depending on your physical defense, right? So even easier if you bring that AoE physical defense up. But here we go, summon bombs. These bombs are fire bombs. Now we have to do ice damage to them, which makes this much easier. Each Sephiroth can pretty much one-shot them. If you guys are risky, you can go ahead and just pure DPS the boss. But as a healer during this phase, he is going to do a lot of AoE damage, so I am healing instead of helping the Sephiroths do their damage on the bombs. Depending on how much damage you're taking, I wouldn't worry. It is priority to take down the bombs before anything else, because if they go off and he does an AoE attack, you're probably wiping. But for the most part, these two are very strong, so I just stuck on healing and buffing John or Surge here, who needed a buff, so they can continuously do their damage. Because me casting a fire or ice spell right now is not going to do as much as my buffed DPS over there. Excuse me. So from this point on, he's going to get stunned, and we're going to survive this. If we do not break this one, we would die, right? We got to get that break in there, get that 5 down. If not, you still have another chance to DPS there. So it's a pretty straightforward crash co-op. Priority is bombs. Breaking that shield is priority if that gauge becomes closer to the end where he's about to do his big hit and he's not debuffed. So be ready to bounce that. But pretty straightforward, not the hardest one. That's from our first go. There's probably gonna be more tips from this point on, maybe some things I miss here. Anything you guys think you guys can add, leave it down in the comment section. I'll leave a pinned comment if I missed something, which I probably did, because this one's really easy and very straightforward. So I didn't get to experience all the phases and how long the boss fight actually lasts. But the gist, again, just run it down. You go in, you buff up, do damage, kill the side adds immediately and the shield, and you should always be okay with around 5,000 HP. Besides that, it's just have fun with the community. Let's get this 500 co-ops going, and hopefully that frenzy battle isn't too hard. For now though, thank you so much for watching, keep on smiling, and I'll smell you later.